We detected an unusual trade worth $2.1 million on Devon Energy stock, ticker symbol DVN. But here's what makes this even more interesting. Devon Energy has earnings coming up on November 5th. So in this video, we'll analyze this unusual option activity to figure out whether this wealthy investor is bullish in buying, expecting the stock to move higher, or bearish in selling, expecting the stock to drop lower. Because as we all know, the rich have more access to exclusive research and information, sometimes even leaked insider information, including potential access to earnings data before it's public, giving them an edge to make better, smarter financial decisions. This is how smart money always stays one step ahead, well before the rest of the market catches on. No wonder the rich get richer. And so, to level the playing field, let's dive into the unusual option activity to gain insights from the rich so that our subscribers and members can profit from this deep knowledge too. As we can see here on the options time and sales tape, there was unusual option activity on November 3rd at 1:09 p.m. at the 10-second mark in these January 15, 2027 options at the 42.5 strike calls. Since these options expire more than a year from now, they're what's known as LEAP options, which stands for Long-Term Equity Anticipation Securities. But this does not necessarily mean they have to wait more than a year to profit. The fact that this wealthy investor is trading these LEAP options now suggests they believe they're getting a good entry price right now. So they traded a quantity of 10,000 contracts at a price of $2.14 per contract. But remember, options are priced per share, and each options contract controls 100 shares of stock. So to get the actual dollar value, we multiply by 100 or simply move the decimal 2 places to the right. That means each of these contracts costs $214. And so to calculate the total cost this wealthy investor spent, we multiply this price per contract by the total number of contracts traded, 10,000, and this equals a total trade cost of approximately $2.1 million for this unusual option activity. But keep in mind, just because a trade is large does not necessarily mean it has a high probability of success. In fact, this one carries more risk than the smaller, more selective trades we share on our website. And so if you want to get access to those lower risk trades with a higher probability of profit, then go to our website. We'll link it here. And if you join the membership through our website instead of YouTube, you'll also receive additional trade alerts by email because YouTube does not share your email address with us. So if you want more opportunities to profit, make sure to join the membership through our website. Keep in mind that our members also get earlier access to trades like this before anyone else, even before we share it with the public. So if you're tired of being late and want more time to act on these opportunities, just head over to our website, where you can see exactly which stocks wealthy investors are trading on Wall Street and when they're doing it, so that you can have the same opportunities as the rich. Because if the rich get richer, why shouldn't you? Now, with that said, even though this trade is higher risk, we still took it because this was still an unusual trade being opened. How did we know these were opening trades and not closing trades? Because if a wealthy investor is closing out contracts or trades, it could mean it's not the right time for us to jump in, since they're getting out of the trade. On the other hand, if a wealthy investor is opening new contracts, it could signal an opportunity for us to start a new trade. This data is very important to confirm because it strengthens our analysis, increasing our probability of profit. So let's check if this wealthy investor is actually opening a new trade and not simply closing a previous trade. To do that, let's first see how many open contracts existed before this unusual trade was made. This is the historical data from November 3rd, the day this unusual option activity appeared. And so, looking at the January 15, 2027 options at the 42.5 strike calls, there were about 1,600 open contracts in the open interest when the volume spiked up to over 10,000 contracts when those unusual trades came in. Now, if those 10,000 contracts that were just traded are new opening trades, then we would expect the open interest to increase, adding to these previously opened contracts. So let's check the updated data now on the option chain for these same January 15, 2027 options at the 42.5 strike calls. And we can see here at the 42.5 strike calls that the open interest has now jumped to over 12,000 open contracts, a significant increase from 1,600 open contracts previously. So this confirms that those 10,000 contracts that were just traded were new opening trades because they were added to the open interest. This is why we always take the extra steps to verify the data at a deeper level. Many other websites and scanners simply flag every high volume options trade as unusual without filtering out closing trades. That's what leads to false signals, wrong conclusions, and unnecessary losses for anyone following unusual option activity. But our deeper analysis filters out those false positives, which is why we consistently find more accurate and profitable trades than other websites. And in this case, our deeper analysis confirmed that this was a new trade opened by a wealthy investor, not a closing trade. Now, keep in mind, some of these new contracts could be other traders jumping in, including ourselves and our members. But the majority of these contracts were opened by this wealthy investor we've been tracking. So now, with that confirmation, we bought these 42.5 strike calls and entered the same position, marked as POS, with the green color indicating a buy position. Because based on our deep research across multiple variables and data sets, this wealthy investor bought these 42.5 strike calls at $214 each, which is the same price as we saw earlier on the options time and sales tape. And so when we analyze this trade, we can see here on the risk profile graph where the profit or loss shows up here, and the x-axis represents the share price of the stock, which is currently trading over here, and the y-axis represents the amount of profit or loss. Note the zero break-even line over here. And so when the purple line, which represents the current date, and the blue line, which represents the option's expiration date, are trading below this zero break-even line, as the share price goes down, this trade becomes more negative, more loss. And as the share price goes up, this trade becomes more positive, more profitable. In other words, this trade is going long bullish on Devon Energy stock. We can also confirm that by checking the options Greeks. This trade has a positive delta, which means it's positioned long and bullish. If it was a short bearish trade, we would see a negative delta instead. But keep in mind the risk of this trade. It has a negative theta, which means it loses value over time due to time decay. And that is why you can see here the purple line drops down lower to the blue line as we approach the option's expiration date. Since these options lose value through time, the break even on this trade moves higher as time goes on. And so you can see here, even though the call options we bought have a strike price of $42.50, the stock needs to trade above $44 per share for this trade to be profitable at expiration. Because of this added risk, along with other factors, we only took a small position in this trade. We do not invest a lot of capital into these higher risk trades. Instead, we focus most of our capital on lower risk, higher probability of profit trades, the kind of trades we share on our website. We'll put a link to our website here where you can also learn more strategies to increase your profits. Let us know in the comments. Do you think Devon Energy stock will move higher or drop lower? As always, please like, subscribe, and until next time, Let's keep tracking the trades of the rich so everyday investors can profit too. Take care and have a wonderful day.